So you want to move abroad? What are the hang-ups, or do you have any questions? Let's talk about it.
I have a ton of questions. You know, I've been following you and I follow several of your accounts. Do you mind if I know what your name is? I have no idea what your name is.
I'm sorry, I don't say it enough in my videos. My name is Zach, by the way. And your name?
Lindsay.
Nice. All
Yeah,
right.
my page is called The Atom Principle, and I started it 5 years ago, and it was based on the biblical idea of Adam being a new man. I was trying to recreate myself in four
Gotcha.
areas: finance, socially, physically, and spiritually, and I have failed. Here, you might be able to help me.
Hey, let's
I,
talk about it. So what do you got?
yeah, I wiped myself out financially. I've retired twice. Um, I retired first in 1999, and I was still in my 30s, and I sold a business, and I like adventure. After about 2 years of being retired, it grew very stale. I would clean the pool, get my mail, go hang out with my children who were all in grade school. One thing I didn't predict at that age was none of my friends could just hang out. They all had to work still. So I bought another business and then I sold it and decided to become a medical doctor when I was in my 40s. I didn't have a problem with medicine, but there were family events, so I left medicine. Luckily, I had no student loan debt. I paid cash for medical school, but I also then had no income. Then a divorce and several other things, and poof, now I'm 63 and have no money. I have followed you for a long time and looked up things, and in Ecuador and the Philippines and Thailand, somebody can comfortably live on like 1,500 a month.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
And I don't want to work the rest of my life on a treadmill. And so I'm looking for solutions, and you're that guy.
Yeah, so well, maybe, maybe, but I'm definitely the guy to get the imagination going for to throw out ideas. You know, it's more of a brainstorming thing because everyone's exact journey is going to be different. Like where to go, like are you going to rent, you going to buy, what are you going to do for income? You know, like the answer is really different for everybody.
I actually have applied a few months ago to do my Social Security retirement. And it's not much. You know, it's over $1,000, but it's not that much. So I work part time. One of my problems is I have a huge amount of credit card debt. And I'm actually looking at declaring a bankruptcy because, you know, with Social Security and just a little bit more, I could live in Thailand. I could live in the Philippines. I would really like to live in Italy. I've traveled to 13 different countries. I've never lived in another country, but Italy has been my favorite.
And Italy is a great option, especially those towns. You've probably seen like what we've listed on our website, right? Like, I mean, Italy has a ton of towns that are suffering from depopulation. I think Italy has to be one of the places that more people need to look at retiring in. But like I said, specifically the places that are suffering from depopulation, not the touristy places, because the touristy
Right.
places are going to be expensive, right? But I mean, you just have so many different options. In terms of the bankruptcy, yeah, that's really a huge personal decision, right? I can't tell you. But one thing that a lot of people don't consider, you can pay off debt sometimes faster living in another country.
Yeah.
So if you're paying $100 a month for rent and you have $1,000 a month coming in, right? Which is a lot of money in a lot of places around the world. I mean, I don't spend $1,000. Even me and my wife, two people, we don't spend $1,000 in a normal month, right? If we buy like a car or something like that in a month, like that's different, right? But like an average month of just living expensive, total living expenses, we don't spend more than that, right? And there's a lot of places in Italy that are very doable. So, you know, if you're paying $100 a month for rent, or let's say $200 a month for rent, I mean, you could, in theory, maybe have a payment plan to where you're paying off the credit card debt little by little. But of course, I'm not a financial advisor. You just have to like figure out whether you're gonna try to pay it off while abroad or file a bankruptcy. But I would say don't don't delay, because I mean life is short, you know what I mean? It's like,
Right.
you know, if you want to be living in Italy, go ahead and come up with a plan and do it sooner than later. But I mean, let me ask you this question. I don't know if I missed this, but your social security, has that already like started? You're already getting
Yes.
that, you said?
Hmm.
And you said it's at least $1,000 a month, or I didn't,
That's
or
over. It's over 1,000. I hate to say exactly how much. It's enough to
right,
live in another country if I wasn't paying off debt. So yeah, I know that you have specifically mentioned Tuscany, and I've looked at that. I think you mentioned Piazza, Italy, was one of the places that you showed an apartment for just an incredible low amount, like 200, 250. One of the things that I'm licensed to do, one of the things I've done in my life is a chiropractor. And two of the businesses that I built and sold were as a chiropractor. Started two different businesses for like 10,000, and then after making six figures for years, sold them each for a couple 100,000. I don't want to do that again because it does delay me moving into the life I want to live, which is in Italy or in Thailand. Um, there's several countries I've been to that are possible that I could live in. I've looked at Antigua. I love that island. Um, but so I I want to get this debt settled or figure out what I'm going to do. And then I want to be able to make this move by the end of the year. My goal is to make this move by the end of the year. I certainly am aware of my mortality, and years fly by. The part time job I picked up is substitute teaching, and I really like it. And I'm at the high school I graduated from. But it's pretty shocking to be over 40 years later, and I'm at that high school going, where did 40 years go? It just goes so quick that I know I need to make this move by the end of the year.
yeah.
And I
Well,
love following your stuff, and I look at you, and um, you look like you have an easy job. Look like you have a fun job. And I see all the places you go. You're in this country, you're in Mexico, you're in South America, you're all over the place. You're showing off the new car that you just got. Um, the last video I watched of yours, you were by Norky's restaurant or something. It was in a mall in Peru. And, everyone's well dressed, everyone's buying food, everything's clean. I really want to do this. America's stressful.
yeah,
I was
yeah,
substitute teaching 2 weeks ago, and a junior high, a middle school kid brought a loaded gun to the classroom, and the police had to come. And then same day, one of my students set the school on fire, and we had to evacuate, and the fire trucks come. And every school has a metal detector in it, and I have to
yeah,
go by police because kids are coming armed to
yeah.
school to light people up.
I'll tell you this. So I can't stay on too long, but you're absolutely right. So okay, so here's a few ideas or a few things that I want to convey to you. So if I had $1,000 a month coming in, like just passively, right? Like in your case, I would be retired. Like I wouldn't even be working. And I know, yes, there are people that live in other countries that spend way more, but if you can find a nice little place where your rent can be 150 or $200 a month, where you feel comfortable, you're just relaxing, you want to wake up in the morning, walk out on the balcony, have a cup of coffee, watch a few videos, listen to the birds chirp, walk around town, go do a few things, just start living in peace or whatever. It's like, man, why not just go ahead and do that, and so a lot of people, for example, I don't want to say what specific country I live in like right now because
Okay.
I try to avoid saying it, but it's not like some massive secret or anything like that. But anyways, point is that when a lot of people come down to visit that are like either planning on staying and visiting us like a month, like friends and family, or maybe friends and family that are thinking about possibly moving, they'll say, how much do I need to live on? And I'll tell them that I've known foreigners come to this country and they wouldn't know how to survive on less than $1,000 a month. But I don't know how to spend more than $1,000 a month. And so I just put it like this. I say, okay, check this out. I've never paid more than $200 a month for rent, and I've always had a nice apartment with a view of the mountains. Now that's one thing to consider. Number two is if you go to the grocery store, filet mignon is $1.50. It's between $1.50 and $2. Depending,
What?
you get two hockey puck size, filet mignon, two of them wrapped in bacon, and it costs less than $2. So I tell, and I say it this way. I say just what you spend on groceries and what I spend on groceries are going to be different. But let's just say you want to eat filet mignon breakfast, lunch, and dinner every day for 30 days, right? And you want to eat it with eggs. So eggs are almost free here practically. Like it costs like, I don't know, like let's say 10 cents for an egg or something like that. But let's say you want to eat eggs and filet mignon 3 times a day. Do the math on that. It's you're spending, let's call it $2 per meal, right? And so that's on the higher end of what you would be spending on eating fancy at home or whatever, right? But $1,000 a month, I could be eating filet mignon every day, have a bottle of wine a week. Down here, a bottle of wine costs $3, a good one that I like. If I were you, I would definitely make it happen. The debt thing, yeah, you'll have to figure out how to take care of that, or how you want to organize it or take care of it, make it go away, whatever. So there's that, and then. The other thing I wanted to tell you too is if you did want to have a part-time job while living off of your Social Security in Italy, um, you could look into teaching English online. Now, I know a lot of people say that, but it's kind of a weird field. So the teaching English online, it kind of goes through cycles. So it goes through cycles where almost no companies are hiring, and then they goes through cycles where tons of companies are hiring. And so also when that goes up and down, you also will have companies usually as the need for English teachers gets lower, they usually raise the standards, like the requirements. So they'll say like the requirements, oh, you have to have a college degree, you have to have years of experience, blah blah blah. But when the demand is really high for English teachers, there'll be companies that pop up that are like just some random Chinese company that pops up, and or whatever, from wherever. There's a lot of Chinese companies that'll pop up, and they'll say, look, you don't need to have any experience, you don't need to have a college degree, you just need to be a native speaker, and you come on and you can make your own schedule, blah blah blah, and stuff like that. So if you can catch the wave when there's a high need for English teachers, you might can get in on one of those times and in those moments, and it's really cool because you really can set your own schedule. I did that for a short period of time, and I know I have lots of friends that do it. And some of those like companies, you really can set your own schedule. You could literally just say, I just want to do 10 hours a week. I'm going to work like 3 hours one day, 3 hours one day, and 4 hours one day, or something like that, and just say, just to keep me busy and have a little bit of extra income on top of my Social Security. And then that's just like cherry on top for you're already your basic living expenses are already taken care of. But let's say with that extra job, you could use that to start traveling now, right? Because once you live in a place where your rent is so cheap and your cost of living is so cheap, you have to remember that if you do have a remote job, you're able to save money faster, working part time, not killing yourself. And then you can say, all right, you know what? I'm gonna go to Romania for a few weeks, and the bus to I'm
Right.
gonna just go. Once you're in Europe, the bus tickets are so cheap. Like, I mean, I remember buying, like, my wife and I would buy like a $10 bus ticket, takes us to the next country, and they give you like cappuccino on the bus and stuff like that. So it's like, you know, anyways, that would be my main advice to you is like, just do it. It's very, very feasible. I think your biggest hurdle right now is just kind of just figuring out what you want to do with the debt, but that's like a super personal decision.
Yeah, I am going to get that. I'm going to jump on that within the next month. I've been interviewing attorneys and stuff, and I've never had to do something like that. But again, the time is short, and I want to make a move on this. So there were several things. You mentioned English teaching. I wanted to see what it would take to get licensed as a chiropractor in these other countries, because I know they do have them in these other countries, or some of the things I do. You're mentioning filet mignon. And the second time I retired in life, I had a lot of money, and my youngest son and I traveled to a lot of countries. And our goal was to eat a filet mignon in like 400 major restaurants. And I can remember we went to the Cut in Vegas at, um, I can't think of what the hotel was, and no alcohol. He had a Sprite, two fillets, and the basic bill without a tip was over $300. And at the time, I could do that. But I would eat a fillet every day. And I can't believe you're telling me you get a filet mignon for like under $2. I just
Yeah.
can't even believe that. And
Two of them. So it's about $1 per filet mignon.
I watch you and the quality of living. Like, I owned three homes at one time in Phoenix, Arizona. One was paid off entirely. But all the homes in Phoenix are basically chicken wire and stucco. They put up a wood wall, they cover it in chicken wire, and they spray stucco on. The only thing that keeps people from breaking in your house is honesty, because I could literally punch through an exterior wall and be inside one of the homes, the average home in Arizona. So I'm seeing you going to these sites where they're constructing homes, and they're either brick or they're concrete with rebar. They're things that will actually stand up to a hurricane. And, the quality of the homes and the living structures there, the lower crime. You may not remember this. I commented on one of your videos because I looked up the bankruptcies in Mexico, and they average 40 bankruptcies or insolvencies a year in Mexico. 40. The average,
You mean corporate ones?
personal ones.
Oh,
They're almost unheard of, 40. In America, they average almost 500,000, almost half a million bankruptcies every year. I was lucky, but it's nothing. I look at my kids, and, they get into a 400, $500,000 home, and things go great for a while, but then something happens and they miss a few paychecks, and all of a sudden, you're losing hundreds of thousands of dollars in investments, and you're looking at a bankruptcy to spend $500,000 on a home. There's a woman that I talk to, she's a follower of mine, and she's looking at getting a one-bedroom apartment in Norristown, or in New Jersey. I probably shouldn't say that, but Norristown, New Jersey. $2,000 a month. She needs to give first, last, and security deposit. Looking at like $6,000 a month to get in. And I know you showed a home in Mexico, I believe. It was like a two-bedroom, one bath, needed some cosmetics, no structural, on like half an acre for $15,000.
oh yeah,
That's not
yeah.
even a car here.
Yeah, man, there's a lot of options. Well, last thing I want to say before I wrap this up, or it's more of a question, and then I'll have a comment. But so you have a pretty big following on TikTok, but the thing is you could get your account monetized if you start optimizing for like really doing views. I mean, a lot
Yeah.
of my income comes from views, to be honest. I can DM you a little bit like more information, but I mean, like, yeah, there's many in the last in the last, actually, since the program has changed, I'd say in the last like 2 years or so, there's a lot of months where most of my income comes from views, just from getting paid off at TikTok views. Now, of course, I am an author. I sell my book. I do have my new website that we're trying to really get to take off now, and we're hoping to generate more income from that. But yeah, I mean, my views from TikTok pay my bills, like all of my bills, almost every single month. And if it doesn't do it one month, it will the next month. It'll make up for the last month, or vice versa, or
That's awesome,
may,
man.
yeah. So
I
so I
bought your
mean,
book. I bought your book. I used to get all these offers of people wanting me to do, here's creatine powder, and here's security system, and then I would give a review of it. And I got lots of free junk. The only thing I've ever spent money on is your book, and it was well worth it. It's your online ebook.
That was actually my whole reason of getting on TikTok, with other accounts I was on. I have like so many TikTok accounts,
I
but
know. I
uh, but yeah, when I first got on to my original account, my account that has over 300,000 followers, I first started that account, and one of the things I was talking about was my book. And since then, I've kind of changed a little bit. Now I talk more about my book on a smaller account that's more newer and stuff like that. And I haven't really put much time into it. But there's a guy that I've really recently connected with on TikTok named Carlos that went back to Puerto Vallarta, Mexico, after living most of his life in the States. And but he was born in Mexico and spent the first, I want to say, 5 or 7 years of his life there. And anyways, he just started doing TikTok and he's already making money on it. I don't want to specifically say how much money, but it's so far what he's made this past month. It's his first check already hit his bank account, and I was giving him some tips. We kind of been talking a lot about monetizing TikTok and stuff like that, and he's actually looking at trying to make it his full-time job. And just in the last I want to say just in the last like 30 or 60 days, he's probably done close to 1 million views, if not 1 million views. But yeah,
Wow.
the point is like, yeah, like, to get your views monetized, right? Well, first of all, you have to get in the program. So I think you have to get like 100,000 views in 30 days, and you have to have 10,000 followers, which you already have. And so once you do that, then any video that qualifies that's 1 minute long, you can get paid around $1 for every 1,000 views. You know what I mean? And so
Hmm.
what Carlos is doing, he just is responding to a lot of comments like you. But what he is working on, he's working on hooks. So, instead of him just starting a conversation, um, he'll say something like, I left the United States of America, but I wasn't deported. Here's the story. And it's like, oh, wow, I want to hear that. It hooks people into watching it. You know what I mean? And I think you can optimize for getting more views if you focus on hooking people in, responding to comments, telling really interesting stories, and making it get to 1 minute, and continue to hone the craft. I feel like you could end up making a really good living off of doing that on top of your social security. I mean, imagine this though. Imagine if you moved to Italy this year and you just start answering questions about Italy, and you start every video with a really interesting phrase that hooks people in, and then you answer the question or whatever, you tell the story or whatever. I think you could make a whole page about retiring in Mexico, to where like you now become the expert of retiring sorry, I said Mexico, in Italy. You're now going to be the expert on retiring in Italy, in a small, cute little like movie towns, right? Towns that are straight out of a movie, that you could just that could end up being like your whole thing, man. Like I could see you being like the number one retire in Italy person, and then it's like, you know what I mean. You could even probably start selling real estate there. Matter of fact, in these towns that are suffering from depopulation, like imagine these houses that are like less dilapidated, and they cost like 25 grand with a view of the ocean, or
Yeah.
maybe they're 5 minutes from the
Yeah.
ocean. It's like you could end up doing real estate and selling those to people on through TikTok. And imagine you make 1 or 2 grand off selling each house or whatever. It's like that's just a little bit of extra income every
That
year
is
if you sell
great.
several houses. Yeah, I think if I were you, that's what I would do, man. I would just take the Social Security, get to Italy, a small little cheap cute town, start doing TikTok videos about retiring in Italy, and now that's it.
Do you think it would work if I were to create, the content of kind of like, follow me, here's my journey, here's what I'm going to do, and here I'm getting the visa, here I'm on the plane, here I'm looking at the place, here I'm getting citizenship, just kind of a travel blog of getting to a place less criminal, less expensive, less stressful, exotic, you know doing
One
that.
hundred percent. 100%. I mean, and I don't want to touch politics, but we all know that there is a heightened interest in leaving the USA right now, right? I want to stay away from that topic. I don't like
Right, right.
politics, but we all, we all keep at the very minimum know what's going on. And so yeah, I mean, just the fact of you talking about that, if they see you and they're like, man, like there's gonna be people that can relate more to you because of age. You know what I mean? Like there's people it's like, well, that's like, yeah, he's young, he's just, they're just they're taking risk because they have time and blah blah. But there's other people that like you can relate, they can relate a lot more to you. And I absolutely think, and I'm not saying that that would be your only demographic. I'm just saying that I think that you would. I get a lot of people of every age group, right? But it's
Mhm.
like I think there's a niche for everybody, and just the fact that you're talking about retiring in Italy, I 100% think that if you optimize for views, like I said, just you want to say a really good hook in the beginning to where it makes people want to watch the whole minute, and then you post 2 or 3 videos a day like that about your journey. Oh yeah, and then once you're there and once you're settled in, you've got your residency visa and all that stuff. I mean, once and then you're now just you could just sit on your balcony and you could just sit there like have the phone to where they can see your background. It's like boom, that's Italy. Like they know that's Europe, right? So anyone
Yeah.
they've never seen you before, they just see this gentleman sitting there in okay, Europe is he this guy is in Europe, and then boom, you say a hook that's like, how much is a cup of cappuccino in a small town in Italy? I'm going to talk about that right now. So I got this and blah blah. Look at the menu. I mean, you once you're settled in, you can just do question after question after answering people's questions. And yeah, man, I think that you would do really good with that.
Well, I know that you need to run and you're not available this weekend. I'm going to put you on the spot here. Will you do another live with me as this all develops? Will you come on and I'll be like, here's how it's going, and maybe you problem solve? Because I love your creative, out of the box thinking. You make it feel like I can do it, but then 2 in the morning, I start going, I don't know if I can do it. You're the can do guy.
I don't like excuses, man. If there's a will, there's a way. That is literally, I know it's so cliche, but that's just one of the greatest quotes because it's like, man, like seriously, if there's a will, there is a way in almost every circumstance. And like, and yeah, man, like I never had the desire to be rich. I just wanted to do cool things on a budget. And it's like, I wanted to move to another country. I want to do it. It's like, man, it's like you've heard me say a million times, we live in the 21st century where like now with
Yes.
technology, there's way more possibilities of getting income and stuff like that, and knowledge is at our fingertips. So it's like, yeah, man, but absolutely. But I tell you this, I'm going to be traveling to, like I said in the DMs, I'm going to be traveling to another town, another city Sunday. And Saturday, I'm going to be getting ready to leave. And so that's why this weekend I'm going to be booked up. But the thing is, when I get there, though, I don't think in the I'm going to be there 3 weeks. And I don't anticipate having time to do a live, and here's why. Because I'm in a different place and the scenery is so different. There's more palm trees, more parrots, more toucans, and everything like that. I'm gonna go crazy on creating content, and I'm gonna try to like fill up all the gigabytes on my phone of like not only am I going to be posting every day, but I'm going to try to load up my phone with footage. So even after the 3 weeks, when I get back, I can just edit a lot of videos and post them. So like the 3 weeks, I'm going to be like really, really like trying to just record content. But when I get back 100%, yeah, for sure. We can definitely do
Nice.
another,
Because
when I get back after the 3 weeks, for sure.
I am making this commitment to myself and I'm putting it out there. I am moving internationally, not to travel, to live this year, and I will take a big action step within a month. I will already do it to where I'll know where I'm going. I know what my first step is. It may change, but I may go one place and go, I'd rather go here. But I am going to be an international citizen like Zach, and I'm making that commitment. This is going to happen this year. Um,
Awesome. Hey,
and
can
I
I ask
really
you one
appreciate.
last question before I forget though? This just came to my head. Are you currently renting, or what's your living situation?
I moved in with a friend of mine about a year ago. I could move tomorrow, and
Gotcha,
maybe I
gotcha.
will.
Yeah. Well, keep me updated, man. Keep me updated, and yeah, I think you're gonna be the retire in Italy guy. That's what you need to be doing on TikTok, man. Honestly.
Thank you, Zach. I appreciate your confidence. And I will look forward to an update and maybe doing a live again in 4 weeks.
Awesome. Sounds good, Lindsay. Well, appreciate it.
Love your
Yeah.
lifestyle. I look forward to this content you're going to create. Travel safe, my friend.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Talk to you later.